Hello, buddy, Crab here, and last time we unlocked aluminum, which allowed us to get this beautiful blender right here. And the reason we needed this blender is because of this wonderful alternate turbo fuel recipe. For today, we're going to be building a turbo fuel power plant, and we need to save as much sulfur as possible. And the best place to build a turbo fuel power plant is ye old Crater Lake. So we're going to head over there now. Now, I have this little train line running through the swamp right here, and we need to get it from the swamp through the void over to the Crater Lake. And to do that, we're gonna go through this little crack right here. Oh no, I'm about to die. All right, we're just fine. Okay, we're gonna be heading through this area right here, around to right here, so eventually we can put a train station in to pick up that nitrogen node. And from that nitrogen node, we're gonna turn and go straight that way. And whoa, it like looks pretty good. Like I said, we're going directly next to this nitrogen node, so later we can pick it up when we have to make ourselves cooling systems and all that fun stuff. But for now, our train line just goes over and up and straight this way towards our Crater Lake. Now, the Crater Lake has a lot of oil in it, which means we can make fuel pretty easily. Here's the issue though. We only have so much sulfur. Extremely close by, we technically have 2 pure nodes, but I'm only going to be using one of them. And that second pure node is up here, and I don't really want to grab it. So right now we have about, I don't know why it's showing 4. We have 3 sulfur nodes right here. And in total, I can grab about 1,050 sulfur. And the best recipe to get the most turbo fuel for that amount of sulfur is this one right here, which means we aren't going to be using coal. We're going to be using petroleum coke, which is going to be interesting because that means we're going to be using more oil than the normal recipe, because you can use fuel and you can do some weird stuff with it to get a lot of fuel for a little bit of oil. But we don't really care about oil. We're in the Crater Lakes. We got plenty of oil around here. Now, when it comes to this beautiful Crater Lake, I have a plan. You'd never guess what the plan is. That's right, I'm going to build a circle. Dude, I love circles so much, but we do need quite a bit of space. So we're gonna build a circle, but like only somewhat, you know? When it comes to actual amount of machines, we don't need that many. We need like 55 blenders and like 80 something refineries, which like, yeah, that's a lot of machines, but it's not that many machines. So my thought is we'll square off the general Crater Lake, and then above it, we'll build a big old circle at about this level, and that's where we will house our 280 fuel-powered generators, as they are so lovingly called. So the circle will be for all of our generators and our smokestacks, and they'll look real cool. And then the rectangle grid will be where we put all of the machines that, well, we don't want on a circle because it'd be so annoying to build on a circle. Okay, and I realize I don't like my rectangle plan. This is way too boring and way too easy. We're gonna make it so much more complicated. You know how we're gonna build a circle? Yeah, we're gonna build a circle, and we're gonna put all the machines on that circle because circles are fun and awesome and we love them. It's more gonna be like a half circle because it's really gonna go like this, you know, just kind of around. And we're gonna ignore this side for now. Maybe we'll move the circles like center a little bit more this way though. To about, I'd say there. That works. Yeah, that should be good. Okay. Let's make ourselves a big circle, because I have a funny idea. Why do I do this to myself? I say, yeah. I think squares are too boring. I'm gonna build a big circle, and I build a big circle, and I'm like, oh my god, this is gonna be a hell to build. What am I supposed to do with this? But it does look pretty cool. You have to remember, this is all dead space, so this will all be inverted. This will all be dismantled, and then we're gonna have a big old wall going around right here, and then like down we'll probably have some machines, but up here we're gonna have even more machines and more power plants. So I guess this will all be extended by 1, so we can actually build the wall, but that is unimportant right now. Here's what is important. I need to actually destroy this and put the proper circle in, which means we need to go out 2 foundations more, because when I build the wall, I want the wall to be right here, and we're gonna be putting against these foundations. So 2 more foundations, then we delete all this. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out what I want to do with this wall, and my brain is thinking of something, right? Refineries are about 1 foundation wide, and I got a lot of space here. Now, this wall's looking kind of blank, so just imagine we had some refineries inside the wall. I know, insane. So we're gonna mess around with some blueprints real quick, because this should be interesting. Should I finish my foundations and plan other stuff? Yes, but I want to put refineries in a wall, so that's what we're gonna do. I think this blueprint should work. I don't actually know. Why am I falling? Stop it. But I think this should be okay. And I thought this might be like too tall, but actually I think it might be too short. Hold on, let's check. I didn't save it. We'll save it as a temp one for now. And let's see if we nudge this down into place right about there. Oh yeah, that's not too bad. Okay. Now, the moment of truth. What do they look like next to each other? Because that's the hard part. I'd say that looks pretty good. Okay. Of course, it's a circle, so this end we're going to have to do some shenanigans with. But the front, the important bit, this should be okay. And it looks like it's just tall enough to go over this edge right here, which is nice. So I can fit, I think I counted 37 in the circle part. And then we're gonna go straight a little bit because we have to fit 280 fuel power generators up here. So we're gonna have to extend a little bit. Now I need 52 refineries for our heavy oil residue. Right, I forgot. I didn't unlock that recipe. Come here, hard drive. I know you're in here somewhere. Where's that heavy oil residue alternate? Is it this one? Yes, this one right here. So we need 52.5 refineries for this heavy oil residue recipe. So we have 37 in the curve. And so we'll need about 20 more on the edges, which this edge we can't do because big rock in the way, which is actually super inconvenient. That's annoying, but this edge we should be able to do it on. And I'd say that looks pretty good. Now the big issue is we have to extend it down more. Problematic, because while technically, yes, we do have enough room to put a whole other blueprint in. Can I stop falling? Fine, I'll do it over here. Technically speaking, we have enough room to put another blueprint in. It won't quite work. It kind of gets interrupted by this one. And I guess we could, like, move it forward, but that would be boring and dumb, so we're not going to do that. Also, I couldn't complete the circle. There's one on this end where the refinery will just be in the rock too much, so I'm missing one refinery for the circle, which kind of, that's super annoying, but whatever. So we got these refineries in, and instead of going down and completing the circle, we're going to keep going this way and start working on other stuff, like where we're going to put the blenders. I'm trying to figure out, do I want to keep expanding this circle more and more, or do I want to just square it off now? And I think I'm just going to square it off. The reason for that is in these random sections of the square off, those being this sort of like corner bit, because once we have the square off, then this bit's gonna be empty. I have like 8 petroleum coke refineries, and I think I can put 4 here and 4 over there. Or I have 7 fuel blenders, so I can put 8 refineries here and then the 7 fuel blenders over there. And I can use the space relatively well. And once we've filled in this area, we'll go back to having a grid, which will be oh so nice. Okay, the refineries now reach all the way over there. And while I could like extend it down and properly build it, I'm gonna do something else instead. This section over here is going to be for all of our power plants. So this section right here, this little corner, is for the rest of our blenders. We need 46.667, and we're going to use those 46.667 to make our turbo fuel. I've now just remembered I also need 27 more refineries. We'll see how much space we have here. Maybe we can put them over here. So what I'm going to do first is actually make this space buildable. We need some foundations down. Okay, I made a turbo fuel blender blueprint, and luckily, it's auto-connectable. We should be able to do is just go down and connect it, and everything should work. It's a little janky with the connections. They're like a little weird. Actually, I'm probably gonna change it and delete all of these stands because that looks kind of stupid, but whatever. They work. It works. We can auto connect, which is the important part. It's been really buggy for me when it comes to connecting pipes and belts, so I've been like messing with it for 10 minutes trying to get them to connect properly, but now they do. So we can put all these in. Anyways, let's get these blenders in and mess around. I think what I'm gonna do for the floor is make it asphalt. I don't quite like the concrete. I want something a little darker, so we'll probably make it asphalt, and then actually it'd be kind of easy just to show you. Hold on. But first we're gonna delete all these stands because there's way too many of them and they're god awful. So let's say we have a line of blenders right here-ish. Yeah, that should work. We'll pop it in. So it's all sitting on asphalt and very nice. What I want to do is get ourselves the patterns. We'll go down to the half factory zone and we'll kind of put it in a little bit. And then here, we'll do it right, I think here. This will add a little bit more texture to this. So imagine this, but we have 50 of them, right? I feel like the lines will look a little interesting. We aren't going to go overboard with it. It'll just be in between each of the machines. And I think it kind of makes sense to have. Anyways, this is my plan. I'm going to do it for this entire space, and we'll see if it ends well or terribly. And now all the blenders are in. Look, they're so pretty. I gotta say, it's a little weird seeing like lines of massive machines when I'm used to the jumbled mess of the main base, but we're producing 2,100 turbo fuel right here, and oh my god, do I love blueprints so much. The auto connect is so nice. But anyways, with this in, I think we want to put our refiners in because we do need 27 refineries for this alternate rubber recipe so we can deal with all of that polymer resin. And I think we're just going to put them on this end right here. Because I think I said earlier, all of my power plants are going over there. And this side will be more towards the production. Or I guess dealing with byproduct. Basically, I'm going to do the same thing as I did here. We're just going to take some concrete. And we'll get a bunch of refineries and make proper blueprints. And then just put them in a big line. And then go all the way down until we have the amount we need. And now with the refineries in, it's actually starting to fill out this space a little bit, which is nice. I think the next thing we're gonna do is this spot right here. Now, my original plan was to put in blenders because we need 7 blenders to make our fuel, which I don't seem to have the recipe, so I'm gonna have to go into the menu and mess with that. Anyways, I'm gonna put blenders right here. The problem is I don't think they'll actually fit next to each other. Like if we nudge this pretty far back, I don't think they'll fit in a circle. Like, yeah, see how they're clipping into each other? I guess this works. Yeah, but this is too far back. I want to leave space here for a pathway. So probably what I'm going to have to do is not do the curve. And instead what we'll do is do like a straight diagonal from right here. And we'll put the blenders in kind of like this. So we won't be following the curve, but they'll still be at an angle. However, on the other side, when we put the rest of our refineries in, my petroleum coke refineries to make the turbo fuel, those are all going to go on that curve right there, and I think they should fit. But for specifically the blenders, they're just too chunky. They're just too wide. So we got to put them diagonally like this. Okay, they do look pretty nice. I thought it would look a little weird because we have these two on a grid, and this is no longer following the curve, so it's kind of on a 4th grid. But it doesn't look half bad. We just have a lot of empty space back here, and I'm trying to figure out what to do with it, and I think what I should do is buffers. We have our heavy oil residue input right here, and then we have our fuel output right here. We actually have 2 of them. We have 700 fuel coming out. But if we put in like 3 buffers right here, for like the heavy oil residue would go into one of them, and then 600 fuel, and then the 100 leftover fuel, that would kind of fill in the space a little bit. That's an option, although I think I would extend this diagonal just to have them be on the same grid, because I feel like it wouldn't use enough space to put them on this kind of grid that we have for the refineries and blenders. I think if we did diagonally and went across like right here, it would look better. Speaking of buffers, I want to put them in a few places. Since we have 2100 turbo fuel, I want to put buffers on the other side of this walkway. So if we had kind of concrete going right here, and then we had some raised buffers, something about there, I'm thinking. The reason for this is liquids go with gravity. So if a liquid is coming out from a buffer this high, then I don't have to use pumps to get it towards the power generators that are gonna be sitting over here, because the gravity should make all the turbo fuel flow. Anyways, that's stuff we'll do for later. Right now, I do want to do the buffers on this end because I kind of want to see what it would look like. I wonder if I should put them like pretty high up, like set the buffers like slightly higher than the blenders. I think it might look interesting. The other thing is we want to start putting our pathways in just so we have a general idea of where they're going to go. And I think right now we're just going to have one that goes right here and one that goes right down the middle right here. Adding pathways and buffers seems to have filled out the space immensely. Because, oh my god, does it look better. I did a little bit of pipe work, just the fuel, because I just had to bring them over and input them into these lines. This pipe right here is the 100, this one's the 600, and I had to separate off the blender, so it's a little janky, but the 100 feeds these blenders right here, and then the other 600 feeds all the rest. I also put the pathways in, and my god, does adding a little bit of pathways just really fill in space. It's so much nicer now. I thought it was looking too empty, and then I put the pathways in and these buffers right here, and I was like, that's good. But with these in, we aren't going to do any more pipe work. We're going to move on to these refineries right here, the petroleum coke ones. Once we're done with those, it's time for fuel power generators. I would like to place all of them in and figure out where they're going to go, because I need to know if I need to fill in that space at all. If I don't, I have to do some weird stuff with walls. Because as you can see, we're kind of off the ground a little bit, and I don't want to have this place just floating. So once I know exactly how far I can go with the fuel power generators, I can kind of wall it off and separate it. I gotta say, having the refineries like on this circle right here, sitting up here, it's very different than having the blenders. Like, the refiners are the same height as like those buffers, but it's gonna look a little weird because we're gonna have the fuel gens here, so they're like slightly taller. I don't know. Anyways, it looks pretty decent. I still need to do the belts, but I did the piping in the back. So now the last thing for us to place down is our 280 fuel generators. Now what I wanted to do is try and fit 4 of them into a single blueprint, but I can't, sadly, so we're just gonna have to do 2. I'm not gonna do anything crazy. It's gonna be the most basic of basic stuff. However, there are gonna be 2 versions of this blueprint. One version is going to have the pipe junction and the other one is not. However, I actually do want to maximize space, and I do want these to be the correct color, so let's do that. And just for the sake of the fact that there's too much orange here, let's make all the fuel gens red. I want that side to be a sea of red. I think it'd look cool. And then we'll do fuel gens with no pipe. So just a quick visual for you. This is 40 fuel generators out of 280. So yeah, I think we're going to be filling up all of this space. However, I've run out of resources, so time to head back home. Okay, I got a few more, and I filled in that side. There's about 64, and then I got a line in on this side, and I'm realizing exactly how little space I have. So this right here is 22 fuel generators. Now, for me to do a full amount, I need 10 rows. Because I need 280, that's 64, so if we had 10 rows, we'd have the full 280. This is not gonna fit 10 rows, so what we're gonna have to do is go up a level or 3 to fit the fuel generators higher up. I gotta figure out how much space I have over here. I have a limiting factor, which is I have a nitrogen load there I want to be able to pick up with a train, so we have to fit a train station into here. Part of the reason I brought the train track over is because I knew I was gonna have it go over this place, and we were gonna be picking up nitrogen later. So we have to have a train station here somewhere. Now, that could be on that end. It could even somehow fit over there, but I feel like having the train track go across this place overhead and somewhere over here will just look cool, so I want to do it that way. With that being the case, we're probably gonna have to go 3 levels up, because right now I think we can fit another 2 rows, which would be 66 fuel gens, and then if we went up, we can probably do 3 more, which is another 66, and then if we went up 1 more time, we can probably do the rest, and we'll just not cover up that nitrogen node right there. Anyways, I'm gonna place this other line in and figure out this wall, because I want to make it a bit more detailed than solid concrete. I think what we're going to use is the big concrete pillars to add a little bit of decoration, but we'll see once we come to it. Maybe I'll just want to put the fuel gens in and not really care too much. Oh, would you look at that? A big new random square platform's arrived. This is not a square in any way. It's like a massive rectangle, and then this rectangle has a cancer bulge. But anyways, that's in now, and all these machines are in now. So now we have to do another, I think like 5 rows of machines up here. So many more. So I got 4 more rows of things in here, and I was like, this is looking kind of cool, but this nice open space is not. So a time for walls. This is the basic wall right here. I wanted to do like a little bit of detailing, but not too much. So we really just have these concrete pillars, and then we have kind of like a curve, and then we have a walkway. And this thing is going to sit kind of like that. So I want to leave a full foundation of room in between the walkway and these machines so I can bring pipes down. And then also this walkway now kind of overhangs this spot, so I think it looks cool. And then we also need a pillar in the middle. So we have this second walkway, and this walkway right here just has a pillar in the middle to make it look a little bit more structural. And also, like, in the dark, if I don't shine a flashlight on it, it's barely noticeable, but like there is a little bit of depth in there. You can like barely see it. So that was the hope. So now I'm gonna put in this wall and do more goddamn fuel generators, because we need so many. And just so you get an idea of what this wall will look like, it looks like this. This is what it looks like. It goes, and I think it's just enough detail to be noticeable, but not enough to like overshadow like the fuel generators. It's not like we have a bunch of neon signs and a bunch of metal and a bunch of other stuff back there. It's just concrete beams, that's it, or concrete pillars, whatever. And it's just a little bit of something in the back here just to add a little bit of detail to this wall. And then now we also have a walkway that we can kind of add a highlight to. So from far away, among all this gray and dark red, we have this nice highlighted yellow. Because remember, I don't have these fuel generators as the normal machine color. I wanted to make them turbo fuel colored because like my brain's kind of incompetent sometimes, and I was like, yeah, that'd be a good idea. And while it doesn't look bad, I feel like it doesn't fit the rest of this build, but I did it and I'm sticking to it, and there's nothing I can do about that. But we only have 27 more blueprints to go, or around 54 lovely fuel generators. We're gonna be putting them in this space here. I think they'll fit. Considering this is 64 fuel generators, I'm pretty sure 54 will fit right here. First of all, we got all the fuel generators in, and I put a little staircase in. I started messing with the pathways and figuring out where they were gonna go up there, and by that I mean I just brought that over and brought a stairway up just so I could make sure it connects properly. But now I'm thinking moving on to something else, and that would be finishing off this kind of inner wall. And I have built this very, very simple blueprint. It's not too much. It's just the pillars in the middle, and then we have a little bit of detailing on the outside. And so these pillars are kind of like where the refinery is. So I wanted to like emulate that kind of. So it's very similar spacing to the refinery. It's a little taller. But if we grab it and blueprint it, you'll see it works rather well. Like in my head, this looks pretty good. My sort of thought process is it's like a dam, even though we don't have a river coming down that's being dammed. It's like the opposite of a dam, like a reservoir. So this is the big wall that would hold the water in this space instead of spilling that way. Even though we aren't going to be building anything over here, but ignore that part of the logic. Just forget that bit. But that was kind of the look I'm going for, the big concrete. I mean, this whole place is big concrete, but extra big concrete with just like the smallest detail in the middle. And I think it should look good all the way around, although it might get too gray, so we'll see. Yeah, I'd say it looks pretty good. I think it covers up the space, like, very, very well. And while we do have some weird bits where the rocks stick out, I feel like it's not too bad. I mean, that right there is pretty, that's pretty atrocious, but there's literally not much I can do about it. It's how I build it. And there's a few other spots where it's like, yeah, you could do something about it. But I'm just not gonna. I feel like it's fine. Like, yeah, it's a little goofy. It's a little weird. It adds personality. Okay, I started putting the wall in the back here, and I was like, this is looking cool. And then I ran out of concrete. So we're gonna move on to doing something else. Something that's pretty important. And that's going to be kind of the centerpiece of this whole area, which is going to be sitting right here. I would like to do something in the middle, and that is place down our water extractors. But we're gonna do slightly more than our water extractors, as proven by the slumber sloops that are needed. We're gonna have our alien power augmenter sitting in the middle of those water extractors. So I wanna build a pathway that goes out and then kind of goes into a circle, and we'll have all the water extractors sitting on the outside of the circle, and then in the middle of that circle, we'll have the alien power generator just sitting there. The only issue, the perfect spot's kind of taken up by this big thing right here, which is a thermal power generator area thing. See, it like sits right there. I don't know if it'll work. I don't know if we'll have enough room to go all the way out, but we're gonna find out. So it's time to mess around and make a walkway and move this goddamn pillar. Okay, I just brought a pathway out just for grid, and keep in mind this circle is going to be in by one. This is the outline for me to use blueprints on, but I think this should work. So imagine our walkway is just like one more in, and then in the center here, we're gonna have our power augmenter looking absolutely majestic as per usual, sitting there on like a cool little platform. And on the outside, we'll have all of our water extractors kind of like this. And I should be able to fit 15, and if I can't, then I'll overclock a few, because I need 15, I need 1,750 water. And I'm fairly certain that's 15 water extractors. And the blueprint is just the walkway we're using everywhere, except it's the full thing. Oh, hello, Mr. Bean. You look so majestic, Mr. Bean. Are you admiring my circle? I do love circles, Mr. Bean. I hope you do too, because I'm not gonna stop making them. But I feel like this is a kind of cool center point to have in like the middle of this section, because I feel like it fills out the space. We have all those fuel generators on the outside, we have all the production over here, but we have nothing in the middle. And I could have put just water extractors on the end over there, but I wanted to put something in the middle to kind of connect the two. And also you have to keep in mind, we're gonna have a train track going like overhead right here, so that would connect it. But I really wanted something in the middle, and I feel like this will look awesome. And I think it does look pretty cool. Like, look at it. It's such a cool machine to have sitting here. So anyways, I'm gonna like mess around and make this look pretty and less, let's say boring. I mean, as soon as you add in the water extractors, it really starts to like fill out. Like, this looks so much nicer. However, it's time to do the middle. I'm thinking the platform should be a little goofy and a little cool. I'm not gonna do a circle in the middle for the simple fact I've done so many circles today. And by that I mean like 2. There's no point in doing another one. Instead, I want to see if I can fit it on just a, I forget what these are called. They're like not, they're like the 8-sided things. Hexagons? I don't know. But I mean, these buildables are just in the game, and I feel like it can fit on this. So let's see here. Alien augmenter, what do you look like? Do you fit on this like practically perfectly? No, not even a little bit. You're a little fat there, bud. Okay, so we're gonna have to extend it, and I think we'll extend it by like half a foundation. Okay, we have our goofy ass shape properly made now. I extended it by 1 just so everything would fit a little bit better on here. And there we go. That should be good. Do I want to detail the outside? I think we'll add just like basic walls. Oh, wait, let me add walls. How do I add walls to this? Can I cheat and use a painted beam? Or actually, can't you use... I think if I use barriers here, yeah. We can use barriers and then we can replace it with a wall. Perfect. I love knowing random things about how the building system works in this game. That will forever piss me off, so we aren't doing that, never mind. I could just do like a regular beam all the way around, and then for these diagonal bits, we could use the, well, okay, I could finish making the beam properly. For the diagonal bits, I don't know if diagonal is gonna work. Yeah, it's goofy, so we'll just freeform it. And that doesn't look half bad. I mean, maybe I'll raise it. No, that looks fine. Something else you have to imagine is once we have the input later in the game, when we bring in those, what are they called? I don't know. There's special things that I forget the name of, but once this thing, all the arms go out and it does its little circles, it'll look much cooler. For now, it's a little bland, but once it expands, it'll look cooler. But that's something for quite far down the line. See, doesn't that just look
real nice, except for the piece of metal I forgot to destroy. Now it looks even better, except for the wonky pipes. I do gotta say, pipes are a little wonky. Not much I can do about this. It's just, they're gonna be wonky in some shape or form. And so I decided to have the wonk be right here instead of somewhere else. But like, look at it. It looks so nice and pretty, and I think this is a great centerpiece. So with that done, we get to move on to actually all of our pipe work. Oh, this is gonna be so fun. I'm lying to myself. Our water is relatively simple. We have 700 going to the fuel and the 1050 going over to the rubber over there. That's easy. What's going to be significantly more difficult is getting all of the oil into all of these refineries and all of the heavy oil residue from these refineries over to these blenders right here. It's going to take so long, and it's going to be so annoying. But we're going to start. We're going to do oil last. We're going to hook up everything else and then do oil. And our oil's sitting back there in a cave, so we can deal with it later. The fun part about not having the outputs done for these blueprints right here is I had to do it myself, and you get some janky stuff when you do it. Like, oh my god, is the underneath starting to become a mess. I'm going back to my roots of spaghetti underneath buildings. Oh, it's fantastic. Anyways, now with all the outputs done, we have all of our water. We have all of our heavy oil residue hooked up to the lovely blenders right here. We have all of our fuel hooked up to the lovely blenders. We need to do petroleum coke and sulfur. Our sulfur is sitting right up there, and our petroleum coke is right there. So we're gonna hook that up to these blenders next. The other thing is we need to hook up the oil, but we'll worry about that later. What I'd actually like to do now is quickly just put the input of the polymer resin into these rubber machines, since we have it done below, and it's pretty simple. We do, however, have to do a little balancer first, which isn't simple at all. It's just 2 mergers and 2 splitters. I like being down here because I could care less about spaghetti, especially since this place is so open. I don't have to worry about, like, if this place was more cramped, I'd worry about the spaghetti, but this place is so open where I can very easily see where my spaghetti's going. I just don't care. It's truly fantastic. Now we got polymer resin. Beautiful. Ugh, we have to do our water and the rest of everything. Okay, so I brought my water pipes up and put them in, and I think this looks, like, kind of cool. I like the water wall quite a lot. I also didn't realize I put the 2 water things directly next to each other. For some reason, I thought the turbo fuel also needed water, and I was like, oh no, I don't want to spread it between all these. That's going to be annoying. And then I actually looked, and I was like, oh, I just bring it down to these blenders and over to the refineries, and that was nice and easy. So I'm happy I put these directly next to each other. But I think the water wall looks cool, and it adds like this nice splash of color. I know we have red and purple, so there is color, but the bright-ish blue kind of really is very vibrant next to all the orange and concrete here. But I think that looks like real nice. So that means all of our fuel is done. All of our rubber is done. We have all of our heavy oil residue hooked up, so we now have our heavy oil residue and fuel hooked up. I have our heavy oil residue hooked up to the petroleum coke, so now we need to get the petroleum coke and separate it in between here evenly. And then from there, we need to grab our sulfur from up there and bring it down. And then the last thing we have to do is put in all of our turbo fuel buffers right here, then figure out the math, because we have 4 lines of turbo fuel, or actually 2,100, which is like 3.9600 pipes worth of turbo fuel. Anyways, I have to figure out how to split that in this whole space, which is going to be mildly annoying. So a little bit of janky stuff for our petroleum coke. I have it going over and then splitting into all these machines evenly. But basically, we got another 2-to-2 balancer right here. I know it looks weird and it's kind of off to have it here, but like I need it somewhere. It has to split up and evenly split in between all these things, so it's going there. And adds like a little bit of interest. But now with the petroleum coke done, as stated like 4 other times, we have to do the sulfur that's coming from up here. And I'm thinking we do something kind of interesting. I'm thinking about bringing it over the fuel refineries in one of these like gaps. We might just bring it around. I don't know. I'll figure it out. Would you look at that? We have our sulfur being brought over. I brought it over on like this big thing right here. There are also 2 I almost just said gerbil, geothermal generators. There are 2 of them over there. So the sulfur's already been turned on. We do have 3 belts, 150, 600, and 300. And I kind of balanced it over there, so we should be able to separate it into these bits easily. Basically, the 600 is going to power 2 of them, and then it'll overflow into the 300, and then it's going to overflow into the 150, and then the 150 and the 300 will both power their own separate lines of blenders. Now, the big question, do I remember which one is which? I know for a fact the middle is 600. The other two I don't know. But as long as we know the 600, we should be good. Boom! Janky sulfur setup in. We need to make this look a little bit better. Yeah. Literally just adding like a tiny bit of reinforcement will hopefully make this look less jank. There we go. That's significantly better. Not the greatest, but better. Okay, now it is time for our buffers. Height-wise, I want these boys to be in the sky, just as high as you can think. Okay, maybe not as high as you can think, but pretty high. I like them to at least be as high as the upper level over there. So this should actually do. We'll go like 2 more. Big water towers. They're looking actually quite interesting. Here's the thing. I did my math wrong. I actually have 3.5 600 pipes going here. And so basically we have, where's that machine? Oh yeah, so 2 of these machines are underclocked. I think it's 2 of them. Yeah, 2 of them are underclocked by a big amount of percentages. So we're actually missing, what is it, 45, 15, 30, 60. So in this line right here, we're missing 60 from that 540, so it's 480, I think. So we have 480 and then 540, 540, 540. And the cool part is 540 is split into 7.5 72 times. So each one of these lines can evenly go into 72 fuel generators. But like I said, we're gonna do this part later. We wanna turn this whole place on first. So what we're gonna go do now is hook up the oil, which is over here, and then also probably go turn off my phase 2 factory because I don't know if we have enough power. Let's see, how much spare power do we have sitting around? 1,000 megawatts. That's not really enough. Granted, we do have all of our batteries, and our batteries should last us an hour. All right, I've hooked everything up. Our max consumption is 5,600, and right now we're producing around 1,000 just from geothermal and that right there. I actually forget what that thing's called. What are you? The Alien Power Augmenter. Yes, some fancy garbage name like that. But with all power hooked up, hopefully my oil should have turned on. Oh wait, I forgot to hook up the bottom to power. Right, I knew there was one more thing I had to do. We'll just like take a note and we'll just be like, boop. All right, good enough. Now with that on, we'll officially attach it to this right here, which will connect to the rest of our power system. Max consumption, 18,000. Capacity, 10,000. We might not have enough power, but that's okay. We have batteries, and right now we're just trying to build up a little bit of turbo fuel. Now it is going to take a while for all of this to build up, so we aren't going to build up all of our turbo fuel and then turn all the power plants on. We'll run out of power way before that. Really what I want is just 3 machines to turn on, or just like a few, and get a little bit in one of these buffers, and then I'll turn on just like this row of fuel generators, or like 3 rows, so then I can run this whole place, and then I'll wait for everything to fill up before attaching the turbo fuel to the rest of the power plant. So our first machine is officially on, which is great. However, I think we are running into a problem of these being fed by underneath. So I think what I'm gonna have to do is set up a bunch of pumps down here just so we can pump oil into all of the inputs. Because right now we got oil in this pipe, but oh no, oil's coming up. Okay, never mind. We might be okay then. We got our first row of blenders on. We're officially making turbo fuel. Oh yes. I do wonder, why is turbo fuel orange though? Is it because it's mixing with like normal fuel and like heavy oil residue? I don't know. I don't know how colors work or how it's chosen. I think that should be red though. But look at the beautiful liquid. Look at it. The tiniest amount of turbo fuel that'll power our world until we make a nuclear power plant. Oh, it's gonna be great. Guess what's filling up? That's what's filling up. Now, this is the first one, which means it's a little weird. It isn't a full 540 turbo fuel, so we gotta save this one for later. This one, however, is also filling up, and it is a full 540. And those power exactly 72 machines. And those 72 machines are sitting right here, except for those back two. Those back two we have to power by something else. But if we just grab this and we go into yield good mode and go down, we should get these 72 fuel generators to turn on. Like, we hope, we pray. Maybe they won't. Maybe they'll crash and burn. They're about loud enough to have turned on, Jesus. But these two are also filling up, which is good, so I'm gonna start doing the pipe work for the rest of these in nice increments of 72, or 36 blueprints. Okay, all of the lines are in. As you can see, they're kind of snaking their way above all these things. I just put in the last one there, so we aren't making full power yet, but we're already up to, what, 45,000? This should get to 7,600, I think. Or sorry, 70,000. This whole power plant should make 70,000. I think I was making 6,600 beforehand. So after the billion years where all of the overflows eventually overflow, we should make 70,000 megawatts from this place, which is like that's a good amount of power. But we do just have to wait for our overflows, so I figure we do something else. Now, I've referenced it probably 8 times already, but that train track right there has a purpose: to pick up our lovely plastic being made right there, and to pick up that nitrogen eventually. I figure it's about time we get that train track from right there over to this side of the crater lake. Now, we have 2 options. The one that I want to do is to just go over everything. I think it'll look really cool. And since we're using blueprints, I can put it in and then we'll see how it looks. So we're definitely gonna try that one. Our second option is skirting the outside of this place, which will be a little more difficult, but it should be possible. But I really want to try getting the train track over this place. I just think it'll look super, super cool. So we're going to try that one first. The wide angle doesn't make it look any better, let's be honest. But like, it doesn't look bad at that height. I don't hate it. Actually, I kind of like it quite a lot. I was worried that this would be too low, so it'd kind of block the view. And I was also worried that it would look like there wasn't enough support. But I think if we get this all the way down on this side and then another one all the way down over there, then it might look right. And then we can also do some like weird diagonal stuff with the frame ramps, or even just like straight diagonal beams going like this, except we'll go significantly farther out. Like, we might be able to make it work. Maybe. I don't know, I'm very conflicted on whether this will work or not. Let's see, if we add a pillar in on this end, I think we can scoot over like 2 more, 3 more maybe? Yeah, about there. And that pillar there just to add a bit of support to this thing. Like, that gap's big, but it's not that big. Damn, fuel generators are noisy. Like, that's not god awful. I think I'm gonna keep it. Like, unironically, my biggest problem with it is it might interrupt the thumbnail. That's it. It's like, oh, it might be a little too big for the thumbnail. Except for that, I think it looks really cool to have this like railway going over this whole place, especially on ground level. Like, this just looks nice. And we've added kind of like a 4th height, because right now we have water extractor height, we have floor height for blenders, and then we have fuel gen height over there. And we have this little one going right above everything. I'm gonna say it works, and then in like 2 hours, I'm gonna say it's not gonna work and then redo the whole thing. We'll find out though. For now, I am gonna officially finish this rail line, and I'm not gonna build the train station because we don't actually need it yet. For now, I'm just seeking my rubber, but we have the train line in, and that was the important part. I wanted to make sure the train line would actually like look good and work. So with the train line in, I'm not gonna build the train station, but we have it over there and we'll build it later. With that in and all of our machines on and working, this place is officially finished. We just grab ourselves a power pole. We can see we're making a good 80-ish thousand megawatts. We get an ebb and flow because of the geothermal power generators, so that's why I'll go up and down. And also, I think my coal power plant's a little off, but we got about 7,500 boost from the Somers loop, which is super nice. But with this train track in, I mean, we're done. This is my 70,000 megawatt power plant. I hope you have enjoyed the video. And as is tradition, we must kill something. And these bugs down here, you see those? Those little guys right there, they've been causing me problems. So if I just hold crouch real quick, boop, you'll never know I'm here, okay? You'll never know I'm here. If I keep holding control, do they know? No, they don't. Come on, this way, come this way, come this way. Boop. I killed 2 of them at once. Oh wait, and a sky dynamite. Damn it, I didn't kill all of them. Eh. Oh, 1 survived. Oh, well, you can come stab me. All right, it got me. That's valid. It survived like 8 billion dynamite. It deserves the kill. And by that, I mean to kill itself trying to do 1 HP of damage to me. Anyways, I hope you enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Goodbye.